for coming today, and it's good to see a big turnout. My name's Anna Hutchison and I'm a member of WIG, and Christine Cunningham is also a member of WIG, and there's WIG members here as well. Our next speaker, this gives me personally great pleasure to introduce, is Cathy McCormack, who is a community activist from Glasgow. Cathy.
Well, I would just like to thank the big group for inviting me out here to sort of share my story. And it's great to be back in Pilton. Here years ago, been involved in many of the stuff in the communities. I come from Easterhouse, so the struggles we shared a way back in the 70s and 80s are exactly the same. But I never thought in my wildest imagination, when I first took my step towards my community's fight for social, economic, environmental justice, that I would end up in the ozone layer of the international struggle for justice. But that's what happened when we started to make the links between our sick houses, our sick children, and the sickness of the planet. And one of the most inspiring experiences I had was when I was in Nicaragua in 1992, and I went there not to see how I could help the poor or the oppressed, but to see how they can help us. And one of the most important lessons that they ever taught me was if people don't understand their past or their present reality, then they can never ever be free to participate in their future. And so, although I can speak for Scotland, obviously I've only got 10 minutes, but a 10-year campaign in Easterhouse resulted in the first ever tenant-led passive solar housing energy demonstration project. The first tenants group to get money for Europe. It was a pilot project, but we managed to reduce people's fuel bills to £5 a week using modern technology. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart that the extent people are still experiencing fuel poverty. But the other thing that happened to me, happened to us in the early 1980s. Thatcher and Reagan changed Britain's economy from industrial to money market economy. They called it the free market economy, but in reality it's enslaved everybody I know in the poverty trap. Now, it was bad enough being forced to live in poverty. So there was 3 million people in Britain, like some of you here have experienced it, who were thrown into the unemployment scrap heap and forced to live on welfare. It was bad enough being forced to live on welfare without getting the blame yet. But when all the propaganda started, I realised that there was something really sinister going on here. There was a war going on, a war without bullets. It was social, economic and psychological. And so I started working with Professor David Fryer, who is a critical community psychology at Stirling University. And I says, David, there's a war going on. He went, Cathy, you're right. But see the people in my community, they thought I was half Morocco. Honestly. And ever since then, lots and lots of people have been living in denial. But people have got to recognise that this war is real. And we are now facing the biggest humanitarian, absolute health crisis we have ever experienced since the end of World War II. And so we need to understand that and really get together and fight this war. Just to remind people, in the 80s, apart from getting thrown into employment scrap heap, we were forced, people here were forced, to live on surplus food for the European food mountains. We were forced to live with animals. And see, the youth in our society at the time, they were not just denied the right to work, they were denied the right to benefits. Many were forced onto the streets, many were forced into prostitution. But that was the first wave. Now they've come for the biggie. the welfare reforms. And make no mistake about it, these welfare reforms they are determined to get rid of the welfare state completely. Completely. And so away back in the 80s, while we were through an employment scrap, the propaganda started, Nigel Lawson, who the then Tory Chancellor at the Exchequer, said, we have got to put the working class people back in their place, and we have got to train their children, no for so much low-tech jobs, but as no-tech jobs. And that's exactly what they've done, and now we're all suffering for it now, but we're getting the blame for it. Also, Eddie George, in the 1980s, 3 million people unemployed is a price worth paying. That's what he said. And I just want to remind you where this is all started from, right? So, when Tony Blair, these welfare reforms started by Clinton, okay? Guess who was his right-hand man? Yvette Cooper. Who is she? Is she the Labour Party Secretary of State or whatever, something like that anyway? She implemented the reforms in Australia. Now she's behind the reforms here. So this is no about the Tory party, the coalition. This is an absolute determination to demonise the working classes, take away our values and principles. And I realised a long time ago, basically what they're talking about is the safe disposal of human waste. Mm-hmm. People who've all become surplus to their market requirements are getting safely disposed of, bit by bit, and that's what they're doing to us. Yep. And obviously, when I get involved in the campaign, I'll witness human suffering and hardship on a scale I never thought I'd ever see in my lifetime, but never ever did I ever expect to see and witness the human suffering and hardship that's going on now. And for some, just to quote one figure, you touched that, Des, 500,000 people have been sanctioned for the job seekers allowance. Plus the fact, I don't know if people are aware, but the coalition government were determined to take 12 billion away for housing benefit, to use that 12 billion to subsidise the rich, the middle classes, for them to rent to buy, up to £6,000. That's where your money's gone. And so people need to understand that, see the divide between the rich and poor, it's nothing compared to the wide gulf in understanding. And that's why I get such a buzz here today, because I was sitting down trying to make wee notes. And my God, what a buzz, all the activity in this community. It's no changed. I mean, it's no changed, and it's great to see a different sort of a generation getting involved in it. But I think we all need to be reminded that they are 1% and we are the 99%. And we have got real power inside us to change it. And I think one of the most important things we really need to do, not just to link up because there's so many different issues, but we need to link up the issues and make it the one issue and keep the fight on. So I think I've said enough.
Thanks very much.